Hey there, how are you? Thank you so much for happening upon this video, and we are going to get started. And pretty much, we are here because there are a lot of people who are thinking about doing something else, right? Because of the economy, because of things happening, and they may not necessarily feel as though their value is being appreciated at their job. Um, they are thinking about doing something else. And a lot of people are considering online business. And as somebody who was first introduced to online business in 2001, I've noticed a lot of things over time. I officially joined the online business pool myself in 2016. So I'm not a fast start by any means, but I've noticed some things and I wanted to talk about them. So, namely, this is for people who are feeling a little overwhelmed. They've put themselves out there. They might be a year or two in business or such, and they haven't had the greatest responses or greatest experiences with virtual assistants, vendors, marketing help, social media managers. And they know that they need other people to grow, but they don't know why. It hasn't been working as well as promised because a lot of not so great business coaches have given the idea that all you need is a virtual assistant, right? You get a virtual assistant and all will be well. And people go out and quote, get a virtual assistant, and that's not their experience. They've had trouble. They've gone out and gotten marketing help. They went and got a social media manager. They went and got um, a somebody to help them with their website, and they've had experiences that haven't been so great. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. But first, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Amelia. I'm a visibility expert and relationship facilitator. And what that means is I help my clients get more first dates in business. They hire me when they've gone as far as they can go with their virtual assistant, with their marketing help, and they want to get visible, but they also want to keep their sanity, right? They need their time, energy, and resources for more important things. So they reach out to me and I help support them with a visibility plan that works in real life, while also not adding a whole lot of extra on their plate because I am connected with people who do some of the extra technical stuff. Um, Email marketing, upkeep, and campaign and management and calendar management, and all these other things that folks need. But in any case, again, back to the myth of virtual assistants. So a lot of people end up in business and they quickly find that they are the CEO, which means, unfortunately, a chief everything officer. They are doing a little bit of, they're doing their books, they're doing their accounting, they're the chief financial officer. They also are running their marketing campaigns. They also are running their customer support. They're getting blogs out there, and they're also servicing clients. And then what happens? And let me know if this sounds familiar. People say, "Oh, we'll get a VA and all will be well," but then they end up with a new set of problems, a new set of messes to clean up, and and they end up disappointed, and sometimes they might say, you know what, let me just keep going on my own. And what happens is I'm finding that some people get burnt out, right? I have a personal story with this myself and also my family members. My dad was very entrepreneurial when he was living. He did not have the support he needed, and I can't help but think that may have ended up to cardiac issues that eventually resulted in something, that took his life. I have a cousin who's very artistic. She's a creative, but she just does not, for various reasons, does not have support that I feel that she needs. And she's been open and talking about her challenges with mental illness and support. So, mental illness and struggles related to that and needing support. So, I firmly do believe that planning is the highest form of self care. My virtual mentor first said that, put that idea in my head, Monica Shaw, that planning is the highest form of self care, and it really can save you from a lot of stuff. So before we get into, side note, this is also about myths behind virtual assistants and what to actually do, because I don't believe in just talking about everything that's wrong in the world and getting people riled up and not giving folks an action plan. So there are prerequisites for VA support. I don't know if you know this, but there really are things that you need to have together. My introduction to the virtual assistant world, this is 2020, was in 2007. I had friends who started a virtual assistant business. They have done well, very well. They now work with Google, Facebook, Oracle. But in 2012, they started in 2007. So a few years later, again, I am not a fast start by any means. In 2007, they started. In 2012, I took a class that they had about being a virtual assistant. And I am not a fast start. I took the class in 2012 and 2016 when I got another round of student loans, I put things into practice and I became a social media manager. So I actually have work providing experience providing virtual services to other people. So this comes from that, and it also comes from what I'm doing now with helping people to get visible and grow their audience. I'm using virtual assistants, right? I am hiring people to do various parts of projects. And I'm noticing that there is sort of an unwritten rule that there are things that you need to have in place together before you use virtual support. So I just wanted to sort of like break that down. And specifically, well, let me get to the next slide. So first you need to have a framework, right? So before you bring in help and start to fill up a house with beautiful paintings and pictures and organize stuff inside of a house, you need a framework, right? That's for building office building, building a home, anything. You need to have a framework. And it's the same in business, right? No matter if you have an online business or brick and mortar business, you need to have a framework in place before you start to bring in other people and start moving things around and organizing. You first need to have that. Once you have a framework, you need to have tools. You can't build a building or a business with your bare hands. You need tools to be used within the framework. In an online business, these tools look like Asana, they look like Trello, they look like Smart Sheets. And I am going to show you Asana and Trello, what that looks like. And these are things that I use, with my clients as we're doing projects. Once I finish a project with some of my clients, they get Trello, they get access to that, so their team has a framework to use, and that's that. You also need SOPs. These are standard operating procedures. These and you may need to get help making these, but really you can do the special. This actually, I want to tell you, you can write down all the things that you do, just brainstorm, brain dump. You can do this with somebody, you can do this with your business bestie, you can do this by yourself. Just brain dump all the things that you do. If you are somebody who wants to if you're able to commit to this, keep track, like on the hour, put an alarm on your cell phone to go off every hour. And every hour, just write down everything that you've been doing, write it down. And once you have like all these tasks and task track for 2 days, right? If you've tried to lose weight, you're familiar with writing down everything that you're eating. The same thing when it comes to trying to take more control of the task and items that you're doing and offloading it to someone else. You really do need to have record of what you're already doing. Side note, I don't believe in bringing in a virtual assistant to do extra work because you won't really find that you're getting extra time, if that makes sense. I suggest bringing in a virtual assistant to help you with the tasks that you're already doing so that you can have free time to do other things, right? So if you're just working yourself to the max and you bring in a virtual assistant to do a whole bunch of other things, you haven't really exactly gained time back. You're just doing more stuff. And we really don't know if those are things that matter anyway, because we haven't done this first time tracking thing first. So back to time tracking. Write down all the things that you've been doing every hour on the hour for your workday. Do that times two. And then once you do that, put these into buckets. This is idea is courtesy of another virtual mentor, Trevinia Barber, who I hope to be interviewing soon. But these buckets will fall into things that you're kind of doing, but you really don't know how to do them, but you're just trying your best. Maybe some of those out, some of that time that you've looked at, you are watching YouTube videos around a thing. Write that down as a thing that you don't know how to do. Put that in the bucket of a thing you don't know how to do bucket. Second bucket is things that you know how to do and possibly love, but don't have time to do. What this can look like mowing your lawn, social media engagement, liking and making comments. That is a form of customer service that can be delegated out to somebody else, but that's besides the point. Third bucket is what you hate to do. Say some of this time that you have been writing emails or setting up an email nurturing sequence. You know how to do it. However, it's something that you really hate, but it's something that you ended up doing. And then there are things that only you know how to do. Now, this thing that only you know how to do, depending on where you are, this could be your sales calls, but I'm also going to show you how online business owners are. The secret to online business is a lot of online business owners are outsourcing their sales calls. So I'm going to say the thing that only you can do could be developing new relationships and partnerships, right? Say you eventually, after some sales calls, you get in a position where you have the opportunity to have a meeting with somebody and they want to sign a large contract, and potentially, most likely, they do want to see you, um, video conference or whatnot. But that's a fourth bucket. So the first bucket is what you don't know how to do. You're spending time watching YouTube videos about this. Two, you know how to do it and you possibly love it, but it may not be your best and highest use of time. And the third bucket is things that you hate to do. And fourth is things that only you can do. So, with that framework, or not with that framework, with those buckets in mind, start to think about creating SOPs for the things that you hate. That's just what I would suggest without knowing your business exactly. And what this could look like is something as simple as using Loom, Loom. Use Loom, Google that, use that to go through your process of doing something. There is more to it than that, but I really don't want this to be all that long. But here we are. The truth about online business. So the myth about virtual assistants is, I don't know where this has come from, because I was first introduced to the virtual assistant world when it was pure, when virtual assistants were former executive assistants for large corporations. They were doing tasks, they were they're bringing lots of value to organizations, but they realized, hey, I can do this from home. And they started doing this from home, right? So now, unfortunately, sometimes a virtual assistant can be somebody who's just tired of working at Target. They want to stay at home, and they heard of this thing called virtual assistant world, and now they're purporting that they can do all these things, combined with the fact that a lot of these online business coaches, less than reputable online business coaches, are feeding their clients the idea that instead of doing work, instead of taking action, you can hire a virtual assistant. They will show up into your business and be this unicorn that makes all sorts of problems go away and can make your company blow up overnight, right? And that's unfortunate, and it's not your fault if that was something that you were told and you had a not so great experience with a virtual assistant. But if that's what you're told, you had a not so great virtual assistant, I just shared you a few specific things that can help your virtual assistant experience be better. With that said, the truth about online businesses that a lot of, again, unfortunately, unreputable business coaches don't really talk about, the truth about a lot of online business owners, is that they have sales support. They have help making sales. So I want to take you through some websites. Before I do that, let me show you a couple of the tools that I mentioned briefly. So this is a tool called Asana that I use in real life. I use with clients. Um, Again, I help people to get visible, to facilitate relationships that help them to get in front of new audiences and secure business, um, and a plethora of resources and avenues to help them along the way of doing that, right? Some clients have hired me to help them to get visible and work on their client acquisition process. There is a process behind an SOP, right? I mentioned SOP. There is a process behind acquiring clients. Um, Daily business plan, building your business, how they wanted to use the virtual assistants. They wanted clarity around best ways to reach out, and an evergreen offer. So that's an example. Let me show you another one. Will be in Trello. This is for a client. They wanted to get visible. Pick two. I think they chose podcasts and Facebook groups. This is what their team pitched. These are things that make reaching out easier. Again, this is a standard operating procedure, a process, their bio, their links, things that have been done and scheduled. And as things are done, we just move it across, the scheduled and done, rejected, or do not pitch again. You do get no's, and that's okay. That's part of learning for everybody, and that's part of life and business, right? So these are just various outlets to get more visible. And again, this is a client acquisition process. With that said, let me again go over to the truth about online business owners. And I am going to be getting some links. So let me just grab a link and I will be right back.